everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. This is a very important conversation about the role of women in technology. My name is Chavi Arora. I'm a partner at McKinsey in our technology practice. Can you guys hear me good? Yeah? So I'm a partner at McKinsey in our technology practice. I've been serving clients both in technology sector as well as technology functions in large corporations. And I see the gender gap up and close, both in my clients as well as in my institution. So I'm very excited about this conversation. There was a report from World Bank recently that said less than 33% of, of employees in technology related fields are women. And that number in the US is 35%. So we're not that much better. Women are in minority for all of the large, tech giants, the Googles and the Metas of the world. And that number becomes lesser and lesser as you go into the leadership roles, which is why this conversation is very important. And I'm thrilled to have a fantastic power-packed panel with me of 5 very inspiring women who have shattered the glass ceiling and are paving the way for the next generation of women in technology. And I'm going to ask each one of them to introduce themselves in a second, but before that, I want to ask Valerie, who's our keynote, to introduce herself and say a few words to set the tone of the panel, and then we'll go and introduce the rest.
Thank you so much. So I'm honored that Ram found me and asked me to be here today. I'm a little bit different, I think. My name is Valerie Redhorse Mole, and I want to start by saying OCO, which is hello and welcome in my native language, which is Native American Indian Cherokee. And I know many people at this conference, including many of you probably, are actually from the ancestral lineage from India. I think you probably know U.S. history. Christopher Columbus was lost and thought that we, my people, Native Americans, were Indians, and so we are often called American Indians. But I find that our communities and our cultures have a lot of synergy in our respect for people and family and culture. And so I think it's an important connection today to think about partnerships, especially as it relates going forward to technology and AI and lots of opportunities that maybe have been unexplored. The reason I was asked to give a short keynote is because this month in the United States is Native American Heritage Month. And I want to acknowledge that the land we sit on today was the land of the Muwekma Ohlone people. They are still here. They were the ancestral caretakers. And my tribe, I'm Cherokee, my tribe is located in Oklahoma. And I've worked with over 100 tribal nations in the US. And I believe, again, that there are some great opportunities in the tech space for partnerships. My background and connection to technology and AI is that I started my life career working for a gentleman named Mike Milken at Drexel Burnham Lambert. Some of you might know him. He heads up the Milken Institute now. But at the time, it was the largest investment bank in the country. And I was a young student at UCLA, and I was simply there to help out. But I spent 7 years there, and I say I got an MBA because I learned everything about access to capital, structuring capital, investing capital, and bottom line is I didn't see anyone that looked like me. I didn't see women. I didn't see people of color accessing that capital. And so I started an investment bank, a woman-owned investment bank, a native-owned investment bank, and for years worked with tribal nations. And the technology intersection was we were given the right to game, tribal gaming, and so there's a lot connected to payment systems and back office systems and back of the house systems and online gaming now, and that intersection is very large. I then went on and now I teach at Stanford, and I'm now investing money into tech companies, especially venture capital funds led by women and people of color. I'm also very focused right now on renewable energy and how technology partners can partner with our tribal nations. So I'm going to stop there for now, but enough to say that I'm excited to maybe meet some of you after the panel and just share information because I do believe that there is a lot of opportunity for partnerships and collaboration. And I'm excited to be on this panel with these very esteemed women. So I'm going to hand it back to Chavi.
Thank you, Valerie. So I'm going to ask the rest of the panelists now to introduce themselves one by one. And then I have some questions ready here, but given that we don't have a huge number of people in the audience, I think we can take some audience questions. So if you guys have some questions too, feel free to just raise your hand and we'll figure out a way to get the mic to you. We'll start with Smita.
Hi everyone, it's good. Okay. Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you all for being here. So a little bit about me. My name is Smita Hashim. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Zoom. Probably all of you have used Zoom at some point in your life, and you're using it even now. I feel like I have had a long arc in my career. Did my undergraduate in India at IIT Kanpur, came here to graduate school, Princeton, Santa Barbara, master's, PhD, worked in research and strategy, diversified into product management, and I worked on a variety of products at Microsoft, at Google, at a couple of smaller companies before that, and then I'm at Zoom now. And it's been a long and gratifying but also challenging journey at times, as you can imagine. And from my point of view, I love technology. I'm a huge technology optimist. I did my PhD in video compression way back. I love flexible work. I think the advent of flexible work, generative AI, all of that is creating such a moment and opportunity. So I feel very lucky to be here. Along my way, I was helped by many. It was less about systematic mentoring, but it was more about reaching out to people, asking for help, or people giving me a hand. So I'm happy to be here today, and I look forward to meeting you and hearing your questions.
Great, thank you, Smita. And thank you, Valerie, and thank you, Chavi, for those introductions. My name is Monica Kumar, and I'm currently the Chief Marketing Officer and EVP at Extreme Networks. We obviously in the networking space, it's a public company. I've been in the tech space for 30 plus years in the Silicon Valley, but back home, I grew up in India. I was a mechanical engineer. I worked in the factory for about a year, and I realized that's not for me. So I'm a mechanical engineer turned into a tech marketer. And the reason I became a marketer is because I love the application of technology. For me, all the amazing tech that's being built in Silicon Valley and around the world is incredible as long as it's solving some problems and making human lives better. So we are so great, I think grateful. I'm so grateful that I live in this amazing place where all this new innovation is happening. In terms of my career path, like many of us here, I've been around the valley for a while. I worked at Oracle for 22 years, initially during my career, eventually ran the marketing for data management portfolio there, which was a $20 billion portfolio at one point. And then went to work at Nutanix for a few years. I was at Hitachi Vantara, which was an incredible experience, a Japanese company with one of their subsidiaries here in the US, and now I'm at Extreme. I'm excited to be here to talk about, it's not women empowerment really, but more about the impact that women in tech are having today in our lives and how we are shaping and moving technology forward to make all of our lives better. So I'm hoping we'll have some of that dialogue as we talk amongst ourselves.
Thank you, Valerie. I'm Maggie Saifulnas, or you can just call me Maggie. I'm originally from Egypt, and I'm a professor and department chair of computational media at UC Santa Cruz, and just appointed the UC presidential chair to specifically look at AI equity and literacy. One thing that I did when I basically went to computer science did my bachelor's, master's, and PhD in computer science, but I've always been interested in other fields. So I studied psychology for 3 years and then went to study theater and acting for 4 or 5 years. And I'm really interested to bring some more diversity of thought into the production and the software development, especially with AI and human-centered approach to AI.
Yeah, hi, my name is Padmaja Dasri. So happy to be here. I am the CIO of Nextdoor. In the past, I did various positions at Sun Microsystems and LED manufacturing companies, and I was also at Square managing their enterprise system space. So I'm super excited. I'm joining from next week. I'm joining OpenAI to be the head of business systems. So that's about me, and I want to give some time to Shabi to continue the moderation. I don't want to take up too much of time
Oh,
because I think
thank you.
time is.
Thank you, Padmaja. All right, thank you for to the panelists. As you guys can see, this is a lot of firepower here. So I hope you guys are ready with your questions. Just to warm things up, I have one question that I'm going to start with, and then you guys keep thinking about your questions and let us know. So the first question I want to start with, and Monica, this is a theme that you touched on, right? Like this panel is not about women empowerment. This panel is about the impact that women have had on technology, and how can we continue to have even more impact. So, given the statistics I shared at the start, right, women are in the minority. Can you talk about the role that women have played in shaping some of the current technology successes and trends?
Lag here. Oh, there we go. Got it. Well, absolutely. And despite the fact that women have been a minority in tech, I think if you look at the incredible impact women have made in technology, it shows the power of women, right? I mean, we are 50% of the world's population, and of course, we are underrepresented in technology. But that said, I think when I look at all the organizations that I've been part of, where there are women who are contributing, like you said, diversity of thought and ideation, and we are just different. We are bringing different perspective, points of views, thinking about how we can develop products differently. If a customer might be, a consumer might be a woman versus a man, or how we create teams together who are building products. I've seen throughout my career that teams that have women included in the teams that are building products come up with a product that's a lot more inclusive and useful for many diverse customer audiences out there. And I think it's a known fact that teams that are diverse and more inclusive, those companies are a lot more profitable. I think that's, we have so many stats out there that show that. But I'd say there are two things, two examples I'll give in how the impact of women. Of course, we can name so many women. I'll tell you, even from the networking world, there was this Austrian actress, Hedy Lamarr, who eventually developed some radio technology for World War II that eventually became the basis for Wi-Fi, GPS, and some of the technologies we see in the world today. And there are hundreds of examples of women like that all over the place who invented amazing technology that we're using today. But I think in general, what I've seen is that as we are building teams, the more women leaders are included, I think there's this notion of not just, there's a notion of, I think, emotional quotient, more EQ, more empathy, more compassion that is part of building teams. And I think if I apply that to AI today, as an example, that's an area where we need more EQ. We need more empathy in the AI models that we are training. And I know there are many women out there who are actually working on that today as we speak, is how do we train the AI models to be more empathetic, to have that EQ built into them. And that's also about training, just like we train them on other data. So I'll stop with that. I'm sure we all have other examples of it, but definitely I see organizations that have women included in them in every layer of the organization do a lot better on many, many fronts.
Great. Okay.
And I'll follow up, same point, but a little different perspective. So I don't think the inclusion of women needs to even be a social topic or a DEI topic or an ESG topic. I am a financial professional. I make investments into fund managers and companies, and I can tell you there is empirical data that when women are involved at the top in the C-suite and on the board, those companies tend to outperform. And it's empirical data. And so if I'm managing money and investing money, it is my fiduciary responsibility to find that alpha, to find that profitability. And what I like about investing in women-led companies is that usually if it's an AI company or a tech company, there is also some good in the product. So maybe it's an AI product with community health or racial equity or getting rid of bias in something. And so you can see the impact of women in business, but it also is just a simple, good financial decision. And I do think it takes working with men and Caucasian men and men of color and all of us to come together to realize this is good for everyone. It's not just a social trend.
By the way, just in the interest of time, I'll keep the dialogue moving along. I want to explore other topics too, but any questions from the audience? So keep me honest, but I think your question is, can you give us an example of a product or a use case where the involvement of women or inclusion of women made the product better for overall consumer?
You can hear me anyway. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you one example. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Keep it on. Yeah. So, I'm a through and through Apple products user, and so I love my Apple Watch because it helps me keep track of so many things about me, like how many steps I've taken and all that good stuff. But then when I start looking at the bands that come with the Apple Watch, I'll give you an example. It doesn't quite work for me. Like many of my friends, and we've talked about this, we want bands and, we talk about wearables, right? Technology wearables. Think about it. 50% of the world's population is women. We like color, we like bright stuff, we like blingy stuff, we like stuff that can go with our different outfits. So the bands that are provided by certain companies don't go for that. And therefore you see lots of businesses coming up who are actually providing great wearables that are trendy and blingy and colorful that women can use. That's just one example of how the products are getting better. And I know it's a very consumer example, but similarly, I think AI, and again, I don't want to hog the limelight here, but there are examples in AI where women are actually influencing how AI is getting trained and will be trained over time so that it becomes a true companion to humans and not, we don't become slaves to AI.
Can I just say I appreciate the question, but I question the question. Why are men working or how are men working on products, making products better? I mean, we don't ask that question. So why does that onus have to sit on women? So, I don't think we have to justify that women need to be, women are smart, they need to be in technology, they need to be in all aspects. So I just wanted to say that. I could keep hunting for examples, but I just feel like equal expectations and burdens have to be on everyone. And, so yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to even talk offline and talk about some of those with you. So yes, but I do hear you. Women do tend to get discouraged and drop out, and that is a trend which has to change.
Well, let me jump in with an example really quick of a fund manager, a woman who went to MIT and created a venture capital fund to get ethnic food into the supply chain. And she is now helping male founders who never would have thought of that because she came in with a combination of skill sets and lived experience. And so in many ways, she created something that's helping men and women, but I do believe her entire lived experience came into play when she created a venture capital AI technology informed company around ethnic food.
Just to repeat your question, so you're saying bringing in a woman leader increases the top line in technology, increases the top line, but how is that different from bringing in a woman leader in any other sector?
Yeah. Yeah, I can take that. I think a lot of times what happens is women in when women in technology have to work a lot harder um, because the changes of technology in nature and all that. So what I have seen from last two companies, especially both are tech companies, women try to take, like once they start as software engineers and then they move a little bit up and then they try to give up their careers, whether it's like raising the family or whatever is the reason. And, I don't want to do this software engineering. Then maybe I better move off to a different field so that I have a work-life balance. I think that's mainly the main reason that I see that in a woman in technology, that you don't see a lot of like CTOs, women CTOs versus the other industries like finance. You see a lot of like you see banking and all that, lot of women.
So in addition to the direct bottom line impact, you're saying there's also an impact on improvement of culture and work-life balance because women bring that perspective.
Yeah.
Now, I totally agree.
And if I may just add, I almost feel like the dialogue is like women have to prove that we are bringing some value to organizations. And I just don't know why we are there in our society. It makes me very concerned that that's the dialogue. We are 50% of the world's population. I'm sorry. We have made huge contributions to society. I mean, raising incredible generations and created so much social value for our generations to come and for the planet Earth. So I'm not sure if the conversation should be like, how are women helping change the bottom line of the companies? We can say the same for men too. So I kind of feel like we're going men versus women. I don't think that's the conversation in my head. The conversation to me is, why aren't we encouraging more women? Why aren't we doing things to make sure more women feel comfortable to stay in tech roles, to study and finish the college degrees and then stay in tech? We know there are a lot of environmental and behavioral things that are happening why women are leaving those fields because it becomes very difficult for them given the expectations from society. So my question would be, what are we doing to encourage women to stay in tech and make contributions and be in leadership positions? Because representation does matter for women. We need to create more people in those roles and places so more women can, aspire to be that.
Yeah. So actually, that's Shivi's next question, and I let her start the question.
The one on DEI. I was going to ask one question, and Padmaja, I don't know if this is where you were going, but I wanted to touch upon this point that you were making of why aren't we encouraging more women to enter the STEM fields and then get employment there. And I know, Maggie, you do a lot of research in that field. So there's one thing I wanted to touch upon, and then Padmaja, you should jump in too. You have done a lot of research on that whole supply chain, our value chain of the women students all the way to employment. And there are some areas of that are broken. Love to hear a little bit more from you.
Yeah, so, and there is a lot of investment in that too. So there is a lot of research that shows that there is a leaky pipeline, basically, of women going into STEM from middle school into high school and college. And even when they are in college, they might shift to different non-STEM majors, mostly for many different reasons. And social roles may be one, but others are like role models. That there isn't that many role models. Now there are more, but it's not as many. And there is a lot of issues of social belongingness within the culture. So I teach in a program around game design, and the game culture has a lot of also bullying issues with it. And so a lot of women, even though they go into the game industry, some of them actually leave because of the cultural issues that are happening within it as well. So, and it's a subculture of tech. But there's been a lot of investment. So National Science Foundation has put a lot of money to kind of broaden participation into putting programs, whether they're in schools or outside of schools, to get women more excited and get more awareness about how they can make an impact through tech careers. There's been some move in that needle, but not as much. So we need, I think, more and more work in that direction.
I'm just going to add that what I see in the tech industry, I work across all sectors, but I see the movement of women in tech pushing for employee benefits that can help keep a woman at a tech company. So as an example, it used to be in the tech industry, there was a maternity leave for the mom, and then now we have, I guess it's called paternity leave, where a father can have that same benefit. So I know I have a daughter and a son-in-law who are both in tech, and he's staying home with the baby, and she's going back to work. And I think just something as simple as that is a recognition that we need to think about employee benefits that can actually help keep our women in the positions they're in.
We have another question from the audience.
My name is Anshu, and I have been in the technology industry for a long time. I started my own company, and now I'm on the dark side, which is the venture side. But the question is more related to women in tech. So I've tried hiring women throughout all my operator roles. One challenge I found, and that's where it's a controversial topic because I think women need to change. One challenge I found is like job requirements when you put out, they have say 10 job requirements. And women, they might meet 8 out of 10 and they still don't apply. Men meet 5 out of 10 and they apply. They think they'll be fine, but women don't. So overcoming that hurdle that it's okay to be not a perfectionist. It's fine if you don't meet all the requirements. You should still try the job, take the risk. I think women need to change. And that's one reason I find we see less women in tech. So if there are 10 candidates, I see 1 woman out of 10. There are way more qualified women out there. And I just wanted to ask this question of you all. Do you find that happening in your respective businesses?
Anshu, great question and great comment. So maybe if I can just make a comment on that, I actually find there are women at work who have become comfortable saying, hey, I can do this. They don't expect to be perfectly qualified in order to do the job. So I do see that, but I think there's a lot of women who are still waiting for that either 100% checklist, and they may also be looking for, if I may say this, too much validation in order to stay like strong and encouraged rather than, just treating it, yeah, it's your job, but it's still a job, right? So I think there are shifts that are needed. And maybe if you're a woman, raise your hand, even if you have 60% of it, why not? Like, your philosophy should be, I'll take the job and I'll learn on the job. So, and then if you are a man, be an ally and encourage people to do that. But it's a great point. I think the more women get comfortable with the lack of perfectionism and celebrating what they are doing and understanding it's an ongoing journey for everyone, I think the better they will do. So there is an onus on women also to self-reflect and maybe approach things differently, definitely.
Great point. So I think I'm getting an indication that we need to wrap this up to get to the next session. But I'll wrap it up with one question that I have for each of the panelists here. Just a fun question. You have to answer what is the one technology trend that you have that you're keeping your eye on and why? And we'll start.
How can it be anything other than generative AI right now? So.
Five generative AI. Five votes for generative AI.
I feel like just being, I, the trend that I'm seeing a set of people emerge across who are, I think, more AI natives. And these AI natives are playing like anything with the AI tools that are there, and they're coming up with interesting ideas, and they're advocating for them. And I think that's a journey worth watching. So.
Yeah, of course, along the same theme, it is generative AI, but I'm more focused on the data governance and the data privacy part of it. I think that's going to be a huge either obstacle or it could be a huge booster for the adoption of AI in general if we can figure that part out.
Also going to say generative AI, but mostly apply to education because we're seeing it now in schools, high schools, and colleges. A lot of the instructors and the faculty are pushed to use it because the students are using it. So that kind of like is a shift, and there's a lot of movement in that direction.
I'm gonna go a little bit different direction. In my class at Stanford, the students create business models that involve AI, and I've seen kind of two trends that excite me. One are women students in the medical school creating AI-assisted medical technology for women. So it was pointed out to me that for hundreds of years, gynecology materials have been created by men. And so just to have women involved in that makes sense. And then the fun one is a lot of women thinking about how AI can assist with food preparation and in the kitchen. There was someone who created an AI refrigerator that helped you with recipes based on what you have in your refrigerator. I mean, I think there's a lot that can be done with creativity that gets actually fun and exciting and can also make money.
I have.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, so same theme. AI is definitely the trend, and I'm joining OpenAI, which I'm very excited. And I'm also equally nervous about it. Like, what is it going to do us to the mankind? So equally nervous about this whole trend it's going towards. But then I can't also stop exciting about like how we can bring efficiencies at the corporate level. And then at the same time, I also see there is a lot of skill gap that's going to build up. So I'm also trying to reach out to community colleges and see how I can be involved in helping the kids, the next generation kids, not people that are going to the universities, people that are like, just going to the community colleges and going into the workforce. How can we educate them, right? And the fun one, I'm also like explore, like ask my chat GPT, like give me a diet plans, like, pescatarians and, special ketos and all that. So like I constantly ask stupid questions also sometimes.
You have your personal assistant.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Because clearly, all eyes are on Gen AI. Is the theme of this. Thank you so much. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you to the audience for making this engaging and asking real questions and not planned questions in my notes here. Thank you, everyone.